Most people think they know David, the shepherd boy who defeated a giant, the future king of Israel, a man after God's own heart. But what almost no one talks about is what David was fighting long before he ever stood in front of Goliath. Because the greatest battles in his life were not fought with stones. They were fought in silence, in isolation, and in the deep places of his soul where no one else could see. David wasn't born into greatness. He wasn't celebrated. He wasn't even considered important by his own family. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king of Israel, David wasn't invited. His own father left him out, as if he didn't matter, as if he wasn't even worth being seen. Imagine that for a moment, being overlooked, ignored, forgotten, not by strangers, but by the people who are supposed to believe in you the most. That kind of rejection doesn't just disappear. It settles deep inside you. It shapes how you see yourself. And for David, that pain became part of his story long before his victory ever did. While his brothers stood in the spotlight, David was sent to the fields, alone, day after day, watching sheep. No applause, no recognition, just silence. But it was in that silence that something powerful was being formed. Because when no one else was watching, David was learning to trust God. When no one else cared, David was developing a strength that couldn't be seen on the outside. And while it may have looked like he was doing nothing important, heaven was preparing him for something far greater than anyone could imagine. But let's not romanticize it. Those seasons of isolation are not easy. They are painful. They make you question your worth. They make you wonder if your life even matters. And David felt that. You can hear it in his psalms, the cries, the doubts, the longing. He wasn't just a hero. He was human. He struggled. He felt alone. And yet, instead of letting that pain destroy him, he let it drive him closer to God. Before David ever faced Goliath, he had already faced lions. He had already faced bears. Not for fame, not for recognition, but because it was his responsibility. Because it was what he had been given to do. And here's the part most people miss. Those hidden battles were the real training ground. The victory over Goliath wasn't the beginning of his strength. It was the result of everything he had already been through when no one was watching. So when David finally stood in front of that giant, he wasn't just a boy with a sling. He was someone who had been shaped by rejection, strengthened in isolation, and refined through unseen battles. While others saw a giant, David saw something different. He saw another moment where God could prove faithful. And that perspective didn't come from nowhere. It was built in the quiet places, in the lonely days, in the moments where giving up would have been easier. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you feel overlooked. Maybe you feel like your life isn't moving forward. Like no one sees your effort. Like nothing you do really matters. But what if this season isn't a punishment? What if it's preparation? What if the silence you're experiencing is actually the place where your strength is being built? Because the truth is, God often does his greatest work in the moments that feel the most invisible. David's story didn't start with a giant falling. It started with a heart being formed. A heart that learned to trust God when no one else was around. A heart that didn't need validation from people because it had already found approval in something greater. And that's what made the difference. Not the sling, not the stone, but the unseen foundation that had been built long before the battle ever came. So before you compare your life to someone else's highlight moment, remember this. You don't know their hidden battles. You don't see their silent seasons. And just because your moment hasn't come yet, doesn't mean it isn't coming. It may just mean that something deeper is still being prepared inside of you. And when your moment finally arrives, it won't be luck. It won't be coincidence. It will be the result of every unseen moment, every quiet prayer, every time you chose to keep going, even when no one noticed. If this message spoke to you, if you feel like you're in that silent season right now, then take a second and show it. Leave a like on this video, so more people who are struggling in silence can hear this message too. And if you believe that God is still working even when you can't see it, write "I trust the process" in the comments.